Bruce, you must have something really good too.
Of course I do. It's Bruce Danielson, and I guess I'm here to entertain you too.
Sir, any other discussion, or if not, can I get a motion to set a date of?
I'd like to discuss. I've got some comments that I'm prepared to make, and I wanted to start with, yes, I'm in favor of the compromise, and it's always kind of a love fest when you've reached a compromise, and I'm going to throw a little cold water on it, though, because I'm not in favor of the process that we used to get to that compromise, and in fact, I found it very discouraging as a new council member. And so I am going to throw a little rain on the parade and explain to you what that process was. Basically, there was an expedited process used to get this ordinance before the council. And that's not necessary. There's all different kinds of committees and meetings, that the council could have put this into to vet it properly so that it didn't come down so fast and furious, and so that all of this wasn't happening, at a first reading. And then after the first reading, there's this flurry of activity, all behind the scenes activity. When I dove into this race, to become a council member, I fully expected to be in a fishbowl, because that's what our public body is. This part of the public body of our government is a fishbowl, and we are fish in that fishbowl, and everything that surrounds that fishbowl, that's in that fishbowl with us, should be seen. Everything we do should be seen. Things shouldn't even come to us until they're public. And when they come to us, from that point forward, the public should be able to watch us. All of the discussion that we had tonight about our favorite things or unfavorite things, that could have been done in a working session. That could have been done in a full council informational. There's all kinds of vehicles that could have been put through a committee first and then into the council, but that's not how it was done. And quite frankly, how it was done was a series of individual phone calls, individual emails, and I began to get so concerned during that process, is whether or not we were actually complying with open meeting laws. Because I didn't know, we was talking about we and they and all this was going on. If people were meeting, and I was told, okay, it's been drafted. Who is drafting it? How was it met? Well, I checked it out, and I found out, yes, it was all done, through individual phone calls and emails, and I actually was so concerned about it, I sat down with the city attorney and I said, is this okay? Is this okay that we can stay out of the public viewing by doing this through individual contacts? And I was told yes. And I thought, well, if it's okay, it sure doesn't keep in with the spirit of open meeting laws. It may keep with the technical compliance, but it bothers me a lot. And she said, it happens all the time, Janet. It happens in the state government, it happens in federal government. And I thought about that, and I thought, but we can do better than that. So even though we got here where we did and how we did, and I want to thank the mayor for that. He dove in and basically acted as a mediator. He was moved by he had compassion for the public. He was moved by the audience to action. And he demonstrated what I believed in him when I voted for him, which was that he would bring the public needs and the business interests together and provide a balance that this community hasn't seen for a while. And so I'm very proud that you did that under those circumstances, and you dealt with it under those circumstances. But going forward, I'd like the council to consider a different path. And I hope that the mayor will support the council in getting a better procedure in place so that everything isn't done as quickly and as rapidly as possible to have the least amount of contact with the public or anybody's involvement, which was a trademark, a hallmark of the last administration. I hope that we can give this administration the courtesy to not be our mediator because we've created a crisis for ourselves, but that we can properly vet our proposals, especially when they're hot-button issues, and bring them down in a path that involves public watching us as we display our courtesy and respect for each other, and as we do this in front of you, and you can watch and listen. And as I thought about that federal government and state government issue, it reminded me to consult our code of ethics. I received that during my orientation, and I want to refresh you guys on it because it's really important. The state government doesn't have a code of ethics like ours. The federal government doesn't have a code of ethics like ours. The city of Sioux Falls adopted a code of ethics when they adopted this form of government that set the bar at the very highest standard for conduct for our public officials. And it's stated most beautifully, I think, in our canons, because it tells us, the canons are not the actual law itself, but they are our inspirational statements, what we're supposed to strive to be. And moving forward, I would like to examine our processes. I would like to follow the message in these canons. I picked out several of them that I thought were very appropriate to this situation, and I'd like to read them to you now. Canon 3.4, this is the City of Sioux Falls Code of Ethics, Canon 3.4. City Council members should conduct themselves at all times in a manner that promotes public confidence in the integrity of their office and city government. Canon 4.2, City Council members should respect the legitimacy of the goals and interests of other City Council members and should respect the rights of others to pursue goals differently from their own. Canon 4.1, City Council should pursue policy goals they believe to be in the best interests of their constituents within the parameters of orderly decision-making rules of the City Council and open government. Canon 4.4, City Council members should afford every person who is legally interested in a proceeding before the City Council full right to be heard according to law. And finally, City Council members should be aware of the letter and intent of the state's open meeting laws. They should conduct the affairs of the City Council consistent with the letter and the spirit of that law, and consistent with the need to inspire and maintain public confidence in the integrity and fairness of the city government and the office of the City Council member. It's a new era. We have a new mayor. We have a couple new council members. I would like to remember these canons as we move forward and create a new and different government that is really going to move this city into the next decade. I want to thank all of the people who've attended both of these meetings for coming and giving us your public input. I want to thank Teresa Staley for getting them here. She's the one that let them know that the issue was up and basically just asked people, if it's important to you, you should come. So thank you for that. And thank you, again, one thing you can expect from me if I do nothing else while I'm here on this term is that I will stand for open meetings, and I will stand for good government process, and I will stand for being that fish in the fishbowl. And you can watch what I do, and I hope that my council members will join me in that, and we will open this government up and get it back to being of the people, by the people, and for the people. And I do thank my city council members for your patience in listening to my long diatribe, but I was very moved by all of that. And this whole process as a new council member had a very big impact on me. And for me, going back to the ethics code and the canons was very helpful, and I hope it was for you too. Thank you.
Councilor Brekke, thank you.
We don't come up here to entertain you. We come up here to inform you.
What kind of morons run this outfit?